day 3, early morning. Got about 4:45, which is the tentative plan for Monday through Thursday. Here on out, I have a client set in place Monday, Wednesday, and then I am currently trying to close the Tuesday, Thursday one into a long-term commitment. So every morning at 5 a.m., the first thing I'll be doing is training. And then ideally after that, either having one more client in the next hour for the next those 4 days, or getting my workout in and then having another client. Ultimately spending every morning the first 3 hours at the gym. And I think this is very important for my growth, because what it does, one is, and maybe I'll get to the point where this has a different solution, and I believe it will, when it becomes more apparent that it is rewarding. But it helps me wake up early. It helps me go to bed early. It helps me prioritize sleep. And it helps me have a good day. So there's a lot that goes into it. There are cons, but ultimately, you know, at about 8 p.m., right, I would be done with that part of my day. Make $50 to $60, depending on the structure of the compensation of the session, and get my workout in. I mean, I just, at the current point and time that of my life that I'm in, you know, that's very beneficial. Because a lot of people talk about too, when they're starting their business, especially in the way I'm doing it, is you have to have some sort of emergency income. I hate to say that I'm still in that position. I want to say I'm not, but it's just the truth. Even with the goals I have, and even after I do pass these goals, then maybe be in a position. But I mean, I still have, 2 hours a day that I can allot to just working for someone else. Fortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it. But I like it too, because I mean, it gets me in that mindset, where it's a growth mindset, trying to help other people improve. I'm up in the morning, and that being said, right, my day is still, free at 8 a.m. to work on my business from 8 to 8, or at least 8 to 5, and then have a 5 to 5 work day. And that's kind of how the days have been scheduled. So what I do to kind of end the work day as well is I go on a run, or I do some sort of cardio, or I go on a walk, and then I have dinner. And that's kind of my mental closeout of work. And then whatever I do in between is completely up to me. The goal is to be doing the most important stuff, obviously, but that's half the battle there. So since last talking to you guys, we talked about implementing systems and processes. I want to go even a step deeper and reiterate that these aren't even systems and processes for myself. These will be my business's systems and processes. And the reason that is so important to, just overall and to myself, is because one of the big goals I spoke about was separating myself from the business, to be in a true owner position. Also create this entity that exists without me, that will be sellable without me, but as well as it creates it. It keeps that veil strong of you aren't necessarily working for me, whether it's subcontractors, freelancers, part-time employees, hopefully eventually here soon a true full-time employee. I mean, technically I have one position that would be full-time, other than myself, But then also for myself, it's not like the big one, right, is separating the business profits from personal profits. And that's kind of like it's just a whole new model of how it works, because beforehand the entity has been me, the business has been up here, and it's turning it. It's like almost, it's like I've been pregnant this whole time. Almost. I don't know if this is the best analogy, but this baby exists. We're planning on it. We're already living like it's here, but it's not here yet. It's not its own thing yet. We haven't, the reason this analogy kind of works for me is because that was kind of the way I was presented, as like looking at a business and having a business as a whole, is like you're giving birth to ultimately like, this separate being that's living and breathing. So that's how we're gonna approach this, our goals, our approach and reach our goals with this sort of mindset. Again, not too much has changed since in the last 24 hours, but with that being said, the employee process and the hiring, the training, these standards, I do think will differ a little, which is what I'm starting to experience like a little bit of tension at, is just because I'm making these changes to my business doesn't mean employees or others just like are going to accept this change. Change is something that is unnatural, or I shouldn't say that. Change is something that is uncomfortable. It's something that's identified and picked up very easily. When your car starts rumbling, that's change. When I'm on the road, so I'm thinking of like driving analogies right now. If someone cuts you off, that's a sudden change. If you hear a sound, a loud noise, that's a change. Those changes are disruptive, and they modify, behavior and perception. And the whole goal is to modify behavior, change perceptions, create a new outcome. But you also have to get everyone on board with that. Making sure the perception is positive, making sure the behavior is correct. And that is what seems to be what will be a very, very like pressurized, like specific main point of what's going on. Because ultimately, in terms of at least I would say a quarter of the year, marketing is down to a science. We're no longer in the stage, at least for one quarter of the year, which we're also exiting. So this is another problem that we'll kind of talk about. Is like, that's not the constraint of, and like what I would say a good majority of businesses are. Another thing is Alex Hormozi spoke about this, like I think 90% of businesses do 1 million a year, or like not even that, like 10% of businesses do 1 million a year or more, and then 1% do 10 million or more. And that is across like, I believe specifically all service-based businesses, but also just those are kind of the numbers for businesses in general. So it's like, again, the same way change is uncomfortable, and that is required because we are not at that point yet, so is these goals, these profits are unnatural. So I mean, it's not gonna be this like linear easy thing that we're gonna break, but it is possible, and that's what I'm trying to stay within. But to do that, I'm gonna have to reach the 10% of business, which is, even to break it down more, I'm pretty sure there only 9% of people are entrepreneurs / business owners. I don't know what percent of that work separately, or that's like the full-time ones. So we're talking about a 10% of a 10%, which is basically the 1%, which is something I have always strove is a word, right? Strived. I strove. That's always something I've strived to reach. And then with that being said, we're 24. So I'm sure if you took the average age and you compared it, that's even more of a disadvantage. Like, I'm truly trying to be in the, probably fraction of a 1% in business, which, like I said, luckily, we're not trying to hit the 1 million mark this year. I do think it's a goal that compounds pretty quick. Like, okay, it was, $1,000 a year was first, $10,000 a year was, really 10,000. I'm pretty sure we did 10,000 the first year. I may be wrong, like 99% positive. Next year, 2 years it took to get to a 10,000 a month, 20, 30,000 a year. So, I think at the bare minimum, we're looking at, I guess this year was like a 30,000 a year. It really just depends on how you look at it. Anyway, like, I'm definitely like just speaking about this right now, identifying like this change is like a big jump, but I also want to think of money and business very exponential, or at least like pretty linear, to where like, all right, so it took me, this long to 4x. It should take me just as long to 4x, which I do think is true to a certain extent. But these are also like things we're gonna explore, right? And then what are they gonna be the true, like, almost performance indicators that do make those jumps versus what we think is gonna make those jumps versus, what we're like doesn't even really matter in making those jumps. So that's kind of the overview. I believe it's March 7th. No, sorry. I believe it's January 7th now. So we're already about, 25% through January, roughly. We're fucking, it's been, this is the last day of technically the first week of like 7 days of the year. So just seeing where we're at. I guess the revenue right now averages about $100 a day. So if we do $100 a day over 365 days, what will we be looking at? 365 plus 2 zeros, $36,500 if we keep this up. We have another order today that'll instantly boost that average up. It's about 900 over 7 days, and it's just, so that'll help us kind of look more realistic to our goals. But it's and the last thing I want to add is I believe this is the Dunning-Kruger effect, or this is the, it's a chart that does this, right? I forget what it's called, but basically it's the way you go through any problem in life, or any goal, or really any action that takes place. First, what happens is you have uninformed optimism. So, hey, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to reach six figures in 6 months, which is what we're doing, right? And then you become informed optimism, I believe. Basically, we're like, okay, we're doing it. We get to here, and we're like, okay, there's like resistance. What the fuck? Like, like, what is going on? And then we go to uninformed pessimism, to where we're basically at the same level we were where we started. We're like, okay, we tried all that, and now we're here. Nothing changed, and now we're seeing all these constraints. Then you have to fucking keep pushing, and right now you're in informed pessimism, and now you're like, fuck, bro, this shit sucks, and now I know what the solution is, and now now I have to apply it and see if it even works. And then this is where most people give up, because they're like, oh, this is hard. Well, let me try this now. And then boom, they just keep doing this cycle. Just fisting themselves like crazy. And then you're down here, And once you fucking actually apply the correct solution, you get back to informed optimism. I think that's where informed optimism is. And you're like finally back to where you're breathing. You're like, okay, we're good. And then you reach it, and now you're up here to ultimately the full cycle of, okay, we've solved this problem. We came over, what you would call like an upper or a positive, or I'm trying to think in like charts and graphs of like trading, what you'd call that. But anyway, we have a top and then a low and then a newfound high. So I'm so sorry that if y'all like fucking had to see me fucking mouth breathing trying to explain that, but ultimately I hope I explained that pretty well. But that's kind of what it's going to take to reach our goals. So that's pretty much it for today. I'm glad we kind of touched stuff on some enforcing frameworks. We've identified, the goal. We've identified kind of how we're going to lay out the systems to reach that goal, and we kind of identified the mindset and the thought loop or problem loop that we'll go through continually. So that's all I got for today. I may change these to the afternoon, or maybe it'll be good for me to do these in the morning so I can speak about the past day and what I've collected, sleep on it, and then communicate, because ultimately y'all guys aren't going to hear about today at all. But yeah, plan is I'll update y'all again tomorrow. Hopefully we'll keep some stuff moving, and then if I haven't been updating y'all, it's either really good or really bad, right? So hope this helps you guys. Definitely helps me. Ultimately, when I do reach my goals, this will be very good pattern recognition for you guys. It's okay, so this first season is what got them to this point. Hopefully I can even give you more information within those, or go more in depth, or answer questions that you do have about the storyline that I've been able to present. And then same thing here, the progression change of what got me from there to there to there to there. And we're not going to quit, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep grinding, and we're going to see it soon enough. It is inevitable. It's more so how quick do I want to get there, at least for these goals. Like these goals you'll reach, eventually. You might be fucking 60 when you reach them, but I'm trying to get them when I'm 24, before I'm 25. So that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day, have a great week, have a great life. Peace.